Welcome to a session on Ruby laser. It is a solid state laser. Ruby is a aluminum oxide crystal containing 0.05% of chromium atoms. So the chemical form is Al2O3. So this is aluminum oxide, which is also called as ruby rod. Here we are using not pure ruby rod, but we are adding certain amount of chromium atoms with a percentage of 0.05 percentage. Here, chromium ions, Cr3 plus ions are active material, whereas aluminum and oxygen are inert. Here, aluminum, oxygen are inert, whereas the doped chromium ions are active material. Ruby rod is cylindrical in shape of length 4 centimeter and a diameter of 1 centimeter. Here you can see this is the ruby rod. In the center you can see this is the ruby rod. The structure is 4 centimeter is length and 1 centimeter is the diameter. Its ends are polished and parallel to each other. So both ends are polished and parallel to each other. Of course, this end is perfect reflecting surface and this end is partial transparent surface. One end of the rod is fully reflecting and the other end is partially reflecting. Ruby rod acts as an optical resonator. Ruby rod is surrounded by a helical xenon flash lamp which is used for pumping. Here you can see. So this is the helical xenon flash lamp which is connected to a power supply which is useful for exciting the chromium ions from lower energy level to higher energy level, and thereby we can get laser radiation. So this is cooling outlet and this is the cooling inlet. So in the production of the lasers, enormous amount of heat energy will be produced. That heat energy is carried out by this cold water, and this is glass tube. This is the glass tube. This outer layer is glass tube. Let us see the working of ruby laser. When xenon flash lamp is switched on, chromium ions are excited to state E3 and E3 dash by the green and blue components of white light. Here you see. Uh, so initially chromium ions are at a ground state. This is the ground state of chromium ions. Okay. So these chromium ions absorbs blue light as well as green light, so that they goes to this particular state E3 and this particular state E3 dash. Chromium ions undergo non-radiative transition from E3 and E3 dash to E2. So which means that both this green, the green chrome, this particular state E3 and E3 dash, which are indicating the excitation of the chromium ions by absorption of green photon and blue photon. Both drops to E2 state by non-radiative transition, which means that there is no emission of light during this process. So when this blue photon, when this chromium ion which absorbs blue photon rises to this particular state E3 dash, will non-radiatively comes down to this particular state E2. Similarly, the photon, the chromium ion which absorbs the green photon rises to E3 energy level, and it also falls down or de-excited to E2 state by non-radiative transition, which means there is no emission of light. So E2 is a metastable state and Cr3 plus ions accumulate in E2 state. So this particular E2 state is a metastable state. Metastable state means whose lifetime is very, very high. That particular state is called as a metastable state. It is in the order of 10 power minus 6 second to 10 power minus 3 seconds, which is very, very large when compared to normal energy levels. So which means that the chromium ions in this particular E2 energy level will stay relatively longer times. Population inversion of E2 with respect to E1 occurs. Slowly, chromium ions from the ground state will be pumped into the E2 state. So, by absorption of green and blue photons, these chromium ions goes to these particular states and immediately fall down to these particular E2 state. In this way, after certain extent of time, you can find more number of chromium ions in E2 state when compared to ground state. So we can say that the population inversion is achieved between E2 energy level and E1 energy level. So you can see here, this is E1 ground state, E2 metastable state, E3 excited state. So this is the energy level representation. The process starts when photon is produced by transition of Cr3 plus ion from E2 to E1. This is spontaneous emission. So initially one of the chromium ion de-excites from E2 to E1 by spontaneous emission. This spontaneous emission emits a photon of wavelength 6943 nanometer, 6943 angstroms. Okay, so this particular red photon, 6943 angstroms red photon, will stimulate another chromium ion from E2 state to E1 state, thereby it emitting two photons. So these two photons will stimulate to two more chromium ions in E2 state before its lifetime. So now four red photons of 6943 angstroms will be produced. In this way, 4 become 8, 8 become 16, 16 become 32. The process will get multiplied and finally a laser beam will emitted from the partial transparent surface. Here what happens is this happens. E1 energy level, E2 energy level, E3, all the energy levels are in this particular ruby rod. So once the photon is emitted, one photon become 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8, 8 become 16. At this end, it will reflect and the 16 become 32, 32 become 64, 60 become 120, 120 become 240, like this. So it get multiplied between these two ends, between partial reflecting surface and this fully reflecting surface. So this is a fully reflecting surface and this is partially reflecting surface. If the intensity is sufficient, then this partially transparent surface will emit the photons. Now these photons are emitted. So this is nothing but a laser beam. This is the process of emission of laser light from the ruby laser. So it emits red light of wavelength 6943 angstroms. But what is the drawback of the ruby laser is the output is not continuous, but it is a pulsed output. Pulsed output means there is a time gap between one pulse of light to the another pulse of light, that is called as pulsed. So this is the construction and working of the ruby laser. Thanks for watching.